Sad backstories are one of the most famous tropes of anime characters, but that statement is not a complaint. I know it's overdone. I know it's used to make characters' deaths feel more impactful than they actually are. I know it's a top 5 most shameless sympathy fishing tactics of all time, and despite me being well aware of what's coming, I get hit by the sad backstory every time. Not only that, I usually end up liking the character way more. Man, I might even shed a tear from time to time. Does this make me a sucker for falling for the same strategy so consistently? Yes, it absolutely does. But does this make me a googly-eyed little emotional baby wavy? Most indubitably. But will those things make me like this trope any less? Hell no. While I am well acquainted with this tragic and deceptive scheme, and though it may be overdone to a point at which it is humorous, I still think sad backstories can be beautiful. But that begs a certain question. Why are sad backstories used so often? Whenever someone sees something really sad, they get a feeling of empathy, and from this comes the desire to give to someone who is doing worse than they are, and people have exploited this emotional predicament for centuries. I know it best from what I'd like to call the African children advertisement. I know we've all seen the ads with malnourished little African kids eating that chalky gruel that looks like wet concrete, and you say to yourself, damn, that shit must taste like grandpa's crusty ass toes. And before you know it, they've got you.
Shit, I messed up. I actually feel sorry for these children. Quickly, find a way to stop it. I've got an idea. I don't care about these little shits. I hope they starve.
And there's strike 2.
No, how could I say something like that? These innocent, neglected children, they deserve so much more than that. And I'm here sitting in my comfortable chair, buying overpriced coffee, while they mud and rocks and drink poop water.
You're shitting yourself! I am.
Shit, I gotta find a way out.
But before you can escape, it's already strike 3.
Don't you dare make that kid look at the camera. No, stop it. He's staring into my soul. Quit looking at me with those giant puppy eyes and your oddly proportioned, enormous bobblehead.
Time for the final blow.
What could possibly be worse than this? No, you wouldn't. Turn the video black and white?
Wait, I don't even have enough money to take care of myself. Fuck them kids. Jokes aside, this strategy works. It's worked on me, and it's worked on you. Everyone that watches those unskippable African children ads feels immense levels of empathy towards those children. And in the same way, anime creators use sad backstories. Alright, let's make this character a kid, but he just gets relentlessly bullied to the point where he nearly dies. That's a little inaccurate. That's way too gruesome to show on screen. Let's also make him have no friends, or parents, or siblings. Honestly, just make everyone in the city want to kill him. That's just horrible character. Alright. You know what? Let him have no arms or legs either. That's outrageous. You can't do that. What's wrong with you? Alright. Okay, I get it. How about this? You see, these anime guys were very clever in how they approached empathy leeching. With starving African children videos, it's the same story every time. People can create strategies to not feel bad for them anymore, but these anime guys make their characters go through the craziest shit. I don't think anybody was prepared to watch Edward and Alphonse, these two joyful little kids, get their arms and legs chopped off just to bring back their mother, who was a sack of burnt skin and guts. Sad backstories in anime connect people to characters by enticing a sense of empathy, but empathy alone can only get you so far. What really makes a person connected with a character is conviction. When characters have certain series of events that change their moral foundation, it not only changes the trajectory of the story, but it also makes characters' words and actions have more punctuation behind them, because they felt the things that they seek to destroy, reach, or change. So then how are sad backstories used to make compelling characters? These convictions I just mentioned allow for characters to grow. Characters learn new skills, travel to new destinations, and fight stronger opponents in an attempt to change something. Whether it be themselves or their reputation, goals emerge from the ashes of these characters' misfortune as motivation. And a character that shows that really well is Garo. As a kid, Garo always chose to side with villains. In his favorite TV shows, in his favorite comics, and also while playing with other kids. He did this because the villains were often misunderstood. Sometimes their motivations weren't wrong, but just because they were labeled as the villain of the story, they were condemned by the masses and the heroes were exalted. And so Garo was excluded and bullied for siding with the villains. And this most certainly put a chip on his shoulder as he began fighting, and he got so good to the point where he could start taking on S-class heroes. And then he became a true villain himself, beating the absolute tar out of every hero he could get his hands on. It didn't matter if the heroes were corrupt or good, they were all targets. And to Garo, being a villain, representing the underdog bad guys, whom some are oppressed in their noble missions, was a gratifying cause. Garo's motivation led him to become the strongest villain in the world and drastically changed every other character's choices in the story. But because of Garo's origin story, it makes the audience want to root for the guy. He is the underdog, he is helping people in his own way, and his backstory might even be relatable to some people. His choice of actions is so wild and boisterous that it not only entertains people, but it compels people to understand this character beyond the label of villain or hero. But the only reason people might root for this guy is because of the sad backstory we all witnessed. We saw this guy get laughed at, get ignored, get bullied, and we watched as each of those painful physical and emotional attacks damaged this innocent kid, starting something that, while perhaps not what most would consider righteous, was nonetheless admirable. It was something that took great effort and sacrifice, and is a movement for people to believe in. If this character didn't have this unfortunate genesis, nobody would care as much, because they hadn't seen the reasons behind his motivation. So then, how do these stories affect the audience? Every person has a sad backstory of their very own. While most people's lives are not as thrilling, adventurous, or triumphant as the characters we see in anime, most people know what it's like to lose someone they love, to fail at something they wish they had completed, to have been excluded from something they wanted to be a part of. Certain characters resonate well with people because there is a sense of familiarity in their suffering. But not every person makes the right choice after losing something. People are stupid, we make countless mistakes on many things, a lot of the time without learning from them. And sometimes watching a character do the losing for you can be enough of an example to change your mind. Convictions of characters can make people think in new ways. We hardly ever see the people around us when they are at their lowest. People prefer to hide their emotional baggage, and it's easier to put them into a dark place where no one will find it. But when people watch anime and see these backstories, they get the raw emotion, the crying, the pathetic whining everyone does but chooses to hide. But they also get to see what this character will do with their circumstances. Sometimes these characters will make stupid decisions, and sometimes they'll make smart decisions, but the audience is provided with solutions to problems that nobody else in their life will provide them with. If you are getting bullied, the truth is likely nobody would tell you that you have to stand up for yourself. Anime is different from real life, and in some cases for a good reason. They tell us that if you are being oppressed, you have to stand up for yourself because no one is going to do it for you. They tell us that if you lose someone dear to you, you should grieve and let it out. They tell us that if you failed at something, however many times it may be, you shouldn't give up. These sad backstories make the audience not only like characters, but adore them. So what makes a sad backstory beautiful? I've said before that they can be done well and they can be done poorly, but the best ones from my experience are the ones that aren't forced, that are important to a character's progression, and that give the character a change in motivation. Here is an example of one that was forced. Gyutaro from Demon Slayer. So he and Tengen have this awesome battle. Tengen nearly dies, but emerges victorious in one of the coolest fights ever, and then just as this guy is about to be beheaded, it's backstory time. They show him and his sister, oh, they were so poor, and they were starving, and they were diseased. And I don't give a shit because I just watched this guy kill a city worth of people. Do y'all think when SEAL Team 6 murked Osama bin Laden there was a TV with his baby photos on shuffle? No, all they did was find a bunch of CDs of porn. There is a time and a place for a flashback, and it is not right after or before someone dies. So here is a good example of how a sad backstory is essential for a character's progression. Simon the Digger was a timid and uncertain kid with a power he did not know how to wield. And for the first half of the series, his brother Kamiya made courageous strategies and sacrifices until he made one sacrifice too many. This death meant Simon would have to take lead of the rebellion. It was sad, but it made him change the person he was. His motivation changed with that. He now had to shoulder the complaints of an oppressed and misguided people. He had to believe in himself without his greatest fan by his side. Sad backstories can be beautiful if they are done with careful intent, with the purpose to give a character meaning, and with the power to make characters and the audience think of new avenues of solutions to obstacles past, present, and future. That is the beauty of sad backstories.